Hi there, I'm Achie, speaker, coach, and entrepreneur. I'm also a wife and mom to the Shawns, my brilliant hubby, Sean Sr., and my vivacious toddler, Sean Jr. I am a perpetual student to this thing called life, and boy, has life taught me some lessons. What I absolutely love is helping you to identify and debunk the limiting beliefs that cause you to hide from your awesomeness. It's time to reprogram your thinking. So settle in, get comfy, and let's girl talk. Just you and me. This is the I Am Achie podcast. Today, I am discussing a rather touchy subject that, depending on your current religious belief system, may be a little bit difficult for you to digest. And I guess I never thought I'd really tackle this head on, on a podcast. I've had this conversation with friends and even my husband in private before, but to put this out into the world maybe a little bit, I won't say that it's that big of a deal, but for some it may be, because I can say, had I listened to the content that I am going to share today, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I would say maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I would have been like, nope, not true, block it out, false, false, false. And I did a podcast, episode 6, A Wife with a Vision. And I kind of touched on it about how the limiting belief of wives only, being there to support the husband's vision and not having one of her own, how that has crippled so many women in marriages on what they think is possible for them and what to actually do with all of those dreams that they see in their minds and feel in their hearts. What do you do with that? So I talked about that in episode 6, if you want to go back and listen. However, today I'm talking about specifically how wives are more than just helpers. And a few months ago, I saw a very endearing post on social media. It was a story of love and belief and inspiration and support. It was a man who was struggling with finding a job and taking care of his family, and he had big dreams to be a scriptwriter and filmmaker, but he was afraid to tell his wife because, of course, when your family is struggling to survive, it can be hard to say, I know the bills aren't paid, and I know we barely have a roof over our heads, and we're really struggling to put food on the table, but I have this big dream. I get it. I completely understand that. So to make a long story short, the wife believed in him so much that she was the first investor in his vision. She bought him a camera, encouraged him to pursue his dreams. And then 4 years later, he is doing amazing things. He's creating videos for a living and working with people and on projects that he never imagined possible. He gives credit to his amazing wife for believing in him and encouraging him and supporting him when things didn't look good. And I absolutely love the story. I absolutely loved it. And if you've been in a relationship for any length of time or a marriage, you understand that there are ebbs and flows, financial ebbs and flows in a relationship. So it's very important that you believe in your significant other. And it was a demonstration of what's possible. However, after reading this beautiful story, what stopped me in my tracks was one of the comments of someone who saw the video, and their response was, wow, what a great example of what a true helper is. Now, there are a few reasons this stopped me in my track. Number one, the comment is referring to the wife as a helper. Now, because I come from a religious background, I completely understand this philosophy. I get it. I completely get it. As women and wives, we're taught that our role is to be the helper, right? We're the helpmeet. We're the helpmate, however you want to say it. That's who we are, quote unquote, in the marriage. So we're the ones who submit under the vision of our husband because there's only one vision allowed in the house. And most likely that will be given to the husband. Okay? Because I lived most of my life believing this. I did. And this was a belief that was really hard for me to let go. It was really hard because, number one, it's what I've been taught my whole life. and it was a part of my religious upbringing. So it's got to be true, right? So it also was really hard for me because this meant that, and I'm not saying it's not true for some. Here's the deal. I think one of the biggest problems that we have as humans in our individual belief systems is that we don't want to believe that there are multiple paradigms available to us. There are multiple realities at play, right? I even had to get this into my mind that if I believed a certain way before, it may not necessarily mean that that way is no longer true. It just means it's no longer true for Achie. That way of thinking and that philosophy may be absolutely true for someone else. It may absolutely serve someone else in where they are in their life. It may help catapult their relationship, their marriage, their personal life, their spiritual beliefs, whatever. That may be it for them. So I'm not going to demean or diminish that belief system, right? I just understand that where I am in my life, that no longer serves me. That is no longer true for me. I cannot continue to take that way of thinking and believing and acting and showing up into the next level of my life. Okay, so let's be clear on that. But what it also meant for me, why it was so scary to release this idea that the wife is the helper. She's the help. She's the one to submit. She's the second in command, so to speak, is because I wouldn't even say second in command. I would just say, I'll just leave it there. She's a helper. That's her role. She submits herself under her husband's vision. If she's lucky, this is what I believe. If she's lucky, then if she has a vision, she should be able to fulfill that vision under her husband's vision, if she's lucky and if their visions align. But if their visions don't align, then what is she supposed to do with what God, her creator, has actually put inside of her as a human before she took on the earthly role of being a wife? That's the part that it was never covered for me in my religious upbringing. What do I do if, yes, I can help my husband with his vision and I am still feeling unfulfilled because there's something that my creator has put in my heart that has nothing to do with what he's doing, right? And I think we just stop at the first part. We don't include the and. And I always say and not but, because like I said, there's more than one paradigm available. There's more than one reality at work here. So it's not I can help my husband in his vision, but I'm not fulfilled. It is I can help my husband with his vision and I'm not fulfilled. Can we talk about that? Can that be a conversation? That is not a one size fits all. That's one of the biggest things that harms us in our belief systems. It's not a one size fit all. And that is what we think and that is what we believe. And so it was very tough for me. And I haven't even got to the second reason. I keep going on a tangent. But the second reason why it was very difficult for me to adopt that I am more than a helper as a wife is because that meant that even though I was unfulfilled in not pursuing my own, not deeply pursuing my own desires, my own vision and dreams, it meant that I would actually have to stand up for those things that were put inside my heart. It meant that I would actually have to become responsible for them, right? I would actually have to do something with it because for so long, as wives, it's pushed on us to just search for, or as women, not just wives, as women, before we become wives, it's pushed on us to search for stability. Your whole thing is to look for stability. So you're going to look for stability in relationship, you're going to look for stability in the finances. You're going to look for stability even when it comes to what you are to do with your life. If that means bearing children, if that means taking care of the home, if that means, helping the husband with whatever he's doing, you have to be busy doing something outside of what you really see yourself doing to busy yourself and to fit into this role. So this was really, really scary and really challenging for me to undo this limiting belief. So I've observed with myself in the past and other wives that we're just so happy to take the back seat. because we believe that's where we belong. Even when there's fire, even when there's passion, when there's know-how, skill, vision bubbling in our bellies. And yes, we can use those things, like I said, to help propel our spouse. But what else is there? What else is there? And going back to the post that I saw on social media, I love literal definitions of words. So I looked up the word helper according to the comment of the person. Wow, this is the definition of a great helper. And there were several definitions of helper. A person or thing that helps or give assistance, support, etc. That's like the general definition of a helper, right? And then there are the other definitions. A relatively unskilled worker who assists a skilled worker, usually by manual labor. Now, that second definition is harsh, right? That's a harsh definition about being unskilled. And the first definition of just being someone who gives assistance, that's a more comfortable definition, okay? However, where I find that a lot of wives find themselves is not in the first definition of someone who just helps or assists or support. They actually find themselves in the position and the mindset that they are unskilled. And because they are unskilled, their role is to assist the skilled one. And the skilled one is usually the husband. Okay? That is where I usually find where wives who have this belief system and philosophy of being a helper, that's where they lie. And also the philosophy of it's about him. It's not about me. It's about what God has put inside of him, not what God has put inside of me. And again, I say this with such conviction because this was me. Okay? Feeling like I am not doing what is asked of me from my Creator if I am not giving my whole life to every idea my husband comes up with. And I know this is not everyone's situation, but I know that it is somebody's situation who's listening. And I am here to tell you that as a wife, you are not divinely reduced to the helper role. And that sounds ridiculous, to be divinely reduced. But let me tell you, that is a real belief system. That you believe that the moment you walk down that aisle and the moment you take his hand and he puts that ring on your finger, and the minute you say, I do, whatever is in your heart and in your mind and in your soul and in your belly instantly gets divinely reduced. Because you are now his helper. For Achie, that is no longer true. And I've had these conversations with my husband. We've talked about this. We've actually had conversations in the past, and we've had heated disagreements because he's always been a rebel. So he has always been like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Yes, I can use your help with this, and this, but this actually doesn't make sense because I know what you actually like to do. And I know what you're actually good at. So why would you not pursue that wholeheartedly? Now, I'm blessed that he has that perspective because I am also fully aware that there are some husbands who actually benefit off of the belief that you're only to help me. I remember hearing one husband when he found out that his wife actually had aspirations of her own, he was shocked. He was like, my wife actually has a vision. She's a human just like you are. So, just like your Creator put something amazing on the inside of you, the Creator did her the same way. You just have different sexual organs. That's the only difference. And I've had this conversation with my husband, and I remember fighting him on this. I fought him to be divinely reduced. I fought him because my religious beliefs told me that's not how it's supposed to be. And I was out of the will of God if I operated any differently. I fought him on that. And it's just something that was indoctrinated into me. And that somehow, because we're women, and I want to be clear again, this is not a war cry for you to leave your husbands or for you to, if you are, helping him in some kind of way, just stop helping him and focus on yourself. That is not what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, you're supposed to be there for your spouse. You're supposed to assist your spouse, and your spouse is supposed to assist you. It's supposed to go both ways, in my opinion. You're supposed to support one another. But I want you to know that, like I said earlier, there is an and in there. You can help your significant other, and you can be really intentional about what you see, feel, and desire for yourself. And I realize that helping is what I do, but it's not solely who I am. I have many layers. We're like onions. And I am to honor all of those layers and not just rest on one or the other. I always say the first step to any transformation is awareness. So before you commit to making any changes, you have to be first willing to just look at it. And that is what I hope. Whew. Did not expect to get emotional here. That is what I hope this podcast and my work can do for you. For you to just look at it. Because we don't realize that our belief systems run our life. Our lives are lived a certain type of way because of the way we believe. And most of the time, we haven't even given thought to why we believe those things. And we're walking around miserable and feeling defeated and unfulfilled. And I'm just here to tap you on your shoulder and say, sis, let's just look at it. Let's see if that's true for you now. It may have been true in 2010, but is it true now in 2021? Was it even true in 2019? Or did you accept it as truth because in 2010 it was true? Let's just look at it. I have seen so many people recently, their lives just in shambles. And I mean, people are getting sick, not because of COVID. They're getting sick because of their mindset, because of stress, because of how their lives are going or not going. And it is all about your perspective and how you see. So this podcast is just to tap you and say, just look at it though. Let's just look at it. To look at where you are and what you think your inherent roles and duties are as a wife and just evaluate it from there. So if you've never heard it before, let me be the first to enlighten you. Sis, you are more than a helper. You are divinely made and designed and tailored for something that is brewing deep inside of you. Don't be afraid to explore that. It may be something big and grand, or it may not be. However, it is your duty and your responsibility to find out what it is. And don't allow a belief system that no longer serves you to cause you to hide from that. Sometimes it's just really hard to do that when you've been taught for the majority of your life on what your position should be. So I'll say it again. You are more than a helper. You are dynamic. You are amazing. You are powerful. You are strong. You are brilliant. And you are a force to be reckoned with. I hope this episode was helpful for you. I know for some, today's content may be a little challenging to accept just because of family conditioning, religious conditioning. However, if you stumbled upon this episode, I don't think it was a coincidence. It's worth looking at. If you'd like to share your thoughts and comments with me, feel free to send me an email at hello@iamachie.com. Again, that's hello@iamachie.com. And lastly, if my content is inspiring or helpful in some way, and you'd like to support my work, I'll always say yes to a cup of coffee. The link will be in the show notes. Remember that I love you, I see you, and I want you to win. Bye for now. I know firsthand how challenging this personal development journey can be. It can feel lonely, confusing, overwhelming, and even difficult to know exactly where to start. That is why I created an amazing resource for you. Go to iamachie.com to download a free audio training that discusses the top 2 things you should focus on as you begin or continue your journey to shifting your mindset. Yep, only 2 things. I like to keep it simple and actionable. Again, that's iamachie.com. And also, if you enjoyed today's episode, I have a favor to ask of you. My goal is to get this podcast in front of as many women as possible. The things I discuss are the things I wish someone would have told me when I began this journey. So in order to do that, please take a few seconds to share this episode with a friend and leave a 5-star review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can get notified when I release new episodes. I love you, I see you, and I'm rooting for you. Bye for now.